All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, you could see the writing on the wall that George Pickens' time with the Pittsburgh Steelers will be coming to an end, and it has. Yesterday, the Steelers traded their young wide receiver to the Dallas Cowboys in exchange for a third round pick in 2026, as well as a fifth round pick in 2027, while Dallas will receive Pittsburgh's sixth round pick in 2027. Uh, what can I say? Let's face it. The Steelers were not going to win with Pickens because, in my opinion, this is not a me first organization. And on the football field, on Sundays, Pickens, unfortunately, was a me first guy. Uh, Pickens is very talented. There's nobody that's going to say otherwise. But unfortunately, that talent was not able to overcome some of his biggest moments on the field. And his biggest moments, for the most part, with the Steelers, hurt the team. Not always running the right route, not always running hard, bad penalties that harmed this team. And then all of that together just reeked of a lack of discipline. And, it's unfortunate. And the reason why I'm saying it is this. You think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, you think about an organization that is focused on winning, okay? They draft well, the litany of Hall of Famers that they have drafted, okay? And, in recent years, we've seen it more often than not. They get themselves some talented wide receivers, but they also get themselves some malcontents as well. Uh, you just think about it. I mean, it's been a very interesting off season for the Steelers. We've seen them acquire wide receiver DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks, but then they didn't resign either Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, which left them with a hole at quarterback. And not taking a quarterback early on in the draft a couple of weeks ago, we saw them take Will Howard late, and it looks like the Steelers are more than comfortable with being willing to play the waiting game and waiting on veteran quarterback Aaron Rodgers. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. Waiting on Aaron Rodgers and bringing him in is going to be a recipe for disaster because I think Rodgers does want to play for the Steelers. I think he wants to hold things up. And I think Aaron Rodgers truly doesn't want to come in for training camp. And I think if that's the case, or at least miss a portion of training camp and OTAs, I think it's going to be a recipe for disaster. Now, on the flip side for the Dallas Cowboys, they now have themselves what they are hopeful will be a solid number two receiver behind all pro wide receiver CD Lamb. And it all comes down to whether or not that Pickens is going to have his head screwed on because I think he's going to have tremendous opportunities in this offense. You get a healthy Dak Prescott coming back from the hamstring injury. And of course, you're playing off of CD Lamb. And I think this is just what CD has needed because Dallas has lacked that other threat at wide receiver for CD Lamb for quite some time because we've seen CD put up about 1,500 yards a season, and the next closest guy receiving wise for the Cowboys is like at 600 or 700 yards. That's not going to be the case if Pickens comes in ready to play and he's healthy. Okay. Dallas is choosing not to pick up Pickens' option on his rookie deal, which means he's playing for a contract this year. So I do expect Pickens to be focused and go out there and take care of his business because this is a golden opportunity for him. And of course, the spotlight is going to be on him, not because I'm expecting the Cowboys to win a championship or contend for a championship, but it's just the fact that it's Dallas Cowboys and people are going to be talking about them. Okay. But also, for me, and this is my big thing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You wanted to trade Pickens. I got no beef with that. Okay. If you want to go in a different direction. If I'm the Steelers, I would have made this move several weeks ago. Why? Because the draft picks that you're getting from Dallas are not going to be able to help you this year. You could have at least gotten a one pick for 2025 in the draft that could have helped you right now. And that's the one thing out of everything that leaves me perplexed the most about this move if I'm the Steelers. But I'm just looking at the Steelers right now. Very questionable offseason. What is their plan on offense? And I say this because you let Justin Fields and Russell Wilson both leave. You should have tried to keep one of them. Okay, Justin Fields. Najee Harris was your top running back last year. He had over 1,000 yards on the ground. You let him leave in free agency and sign with the Chargers. Uh, you know, something's just not adding up. Okay, now I will say this for the Steelers. They did have a Steelers type draft, all right? A meat and potatoes draft, if you will. They took the defensive tackle Derek Harmon in round number one out of Oregon. Came back in the third round and took the running back out of Iowa, uh, Caleb Johnson. You get Jack Sawyer, the phenomenal edge rusher, who just knows how to make big plays out of Ohio State in round number four. You went back and got Yahya Black, a defensive tackle out of Iowa in the fifth round. Like I said, Will Howard, the quarterback in the sixth round out of Ohio State. Carson Bruner, the linebacker from Washington in the seventh round. And of course, his dad was a tight end for the Steelers once upon a time. So it's a meat and potatoes type draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm looking at their wide receiver room now. You got DK Metcalf, okay? He's going to DK Metcalf is going to be DK Metcalf. The top leading receiver now is Calvin Austin, and he had less than 600 yards on the ground. But my biggest thing is who's throwing them the football, because Mason Rudolph, the Pittsburgh Steelers organization could come out and say whatever they want. Mason Rudolph is not a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So it's like a lot of question marks for me for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is an organization that typically you don't have a lot of questions about, but right about now we do. And I mean, you look at Mike Tomlin, and people are going to continuously say, what is his future there? Is this it for him? I mean, the Steelers, they haven't had a losing record under Mike Tomlin. They've gotten to the postseason in each of the last 2 years, but they still have not won a playoff game since 2016, which is a no-no for this franchise. And, one would ask, what's next for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'll tell you like this, I'm really not sure, because I don't know what to make of the moves that the Pittsburgh Steelers, or some of the moves that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been making this offseason. Clearly, for their sake, I hope that they know what they're doing, and more than likely they probably do. But, for the rest of us, it's just sitting back and just scratching our heads. Like I said before, if you wanted to move on from George Pickens, I got no problem with that. In my opinion, this should have been done before the draft, so you could have gotten some capital back that could have helped your team in 2025. Now, that third round pick that you're getting from the Dallas Cowboys in 2026 is probably going to be on the back end of the that round, because I do expect Dallas to, at the very least, contend for a playoff spot. So that's going to push that pick towards the bottom part, if you will, of round number three. But nonetheless, very interesting trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very interesting and questionable offseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's see where this leads things to go for the black and gold. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, please feel free to hit that like button, as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365, and you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. Also, if you're on Instagram, you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. And just like it is for the X, if you follow me on IG, I'll give you that follow right back. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Stylist podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.